Welcome back, everyone, to part 3 of our 5-part Strategic Visions Explainer series. So glad you're here. We've already laid all the groundwork in our previous sessions, right? So we are definitely not going to rehash basic definitions. We all know what a vision is at this point. Today, we are shifting gears entirely toward evaluation. We are going to aggressively stress test those ambitions of yours. Because let's face it, having a vision is one thing. But how do you actually know if it's an effective one? How do you know if it's built to survive the real world or if it's just going to crumble the second things get tough?
Okay, let's take a quick look at our agenda. We'll be covering foundational traits, then scale, nobility, and correctness, before diving into the cost, the sacrifice, the pipe dream equation, and finishing up with a reality check. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1. Foundational traits. Before any vision can literally change the world, it actually has to make sense on paper. Think of these 4 traits: attainability, lucidity, concreteness, and complexity as your immediate filtering mechanism. It's kind of like a bouncer at the door of your ambitions. First up, attainability. What is the actual, realistic possibility of achieving this with the resources you can get your hands on? Next is lucidity. Can you articulate the main idea in completely clear, unambiguous terms? Look, if you can't explain it simply, you just don't understand it well enough. Then there's concreteness. This is all about the quantifiable stuff. How are you actually going to measure it? And finally, complexity. Is the core concept insanely complicated or is it beautifully straightforward? These 4 basic traits give your vision its initial shape.
Moving right along to Section 2, scale, nobility, and correctness. This is where things get expansive, and your vision really starts interacting with the world around you.
So scale asks exactly how expansive your idea really is, and we measure this in geography, time, and depth. To put that into perspective, say you want to provide a good education. Okay, are you planning to establish one single school in Karachi, or are you trying to build a massive global network of educational institutions? They are both visions, absolutely, but that second one, the scale of geography and the time required, is just on a completely different level.
But here's the thing. Scale isn't everything. It absolutely must be paired with nobility. Now, nobility is the degree to which your vision touches the lives of people other than yourself for a greater good. It essentially demands that your ambition transcends just lining your own pockets. Like, if your vision is just wanting a huge house, a flashy car, and a massive CEO salary, well, the nobility there is zero. It literally only serves you. But if you want to establish multiple businesses specifically to slash unemployment and empower a whole community, now both your scale and your nobility are skyrocketed.
Now, nobility has to be guided by correctness. The correctness of your vision is directly proportional to the soundness of your ideology. For example, as an ummati, meaning one belonging to the ummah of Prophet Muhammad, your vision absolutely must be anchored in a sound ideology to create true, lasting impact. A really smart visionary purposefully connects their profession, their business, and their role as an ummati, all to ensure that the impact they are putting out into the world is fundamentally correct and positive.
All right, Section 3, the cost, which we call loftiness. Having established scale, nobility, and correctness, we arrive at the absolute most demanding characteristic of the whole shebang, the sheer cost of your ambition. Because, let's be real, nothing of value is ever free.
And that brings us to this crucial concept of loftiness. Loftiness is literally the minimum cost required for your vision to succeed. And remember, cost here isn't just about dollars and cents. We're talking about time, physical energy, emotional toll, and massive risk. A highly demanding vision inherently carries a much higher minimum cost. Think about it. Fighting a localized issue, say malaria, has a certain level of loftiness. But a vision focused on completely ending oppression in an entire region? That demands an exponentially higher loftiness level. It is going to demand absolutely everything you have. Section 4. The sacrifice, or greatness. Because a massive price tag means absolutely nothing if your wallet is empty, right? Which brings us to the necessary counterpart of a vision's loftiness. Greatness. In this context, greatness is the exact cost that you are willing to bear for your vision. It is your personal, internal capacity for sacrifice. There's this incredibly powerful story from our source material that just hits the nail on the head here. Imagine you desperately need mentorship for your vision, but the mentor is notoriously busy. The speaker in our source tells the story of waking up at 3:30 in the morning, not even owning a car, and having to convince a friend to ride a motorcycle 25 kilometers in the freezing dark just to reach this mentor's mosque. Why go through all that? Because the mentor simply said, "Come see me at 4 a.m. before Fajr prayers." For just one single hour of wisdom, he completely sacrificed his sleep, braved the cold, and went incredibly far out of his way.
That raw willingness to give up your comfort, to wear your shoes until they literally fall apart, to invest every spare penny into learning instead of luxuries, that right there is greatness.
Section 5. The pipe dream equation. This brings us to the absolute climax of this explainer. It's the critical mathematical equation that separates the true visionaries from the folks who are just dreaming.
We have to honestly, and perhaps a bit brutally, compare these two forces side by side. On one side, we've got loftiness, what the vision objectively demands of you. It doesn't care about your feelings, it just is what it is. And on the flip side, we have greatness, what you are actually demonstrably willing to give up in terms of your time, your energy, and your resources.
So here is the exact formula that dictates your success. Your greatness must be greater than or equal to the loftiness. If your vision demands a staggering level of risk, effort, and financial cost, and your personal willingness to sacrifice meets or exceeds that massive demand, then boom, you have a highly effective, actionable vision. The gears lock together and real forward momentum finally begins.
But what happens when there is a deficit? Well, as the source material so emphatically points out, if greatness is less than loftiness, it is not a vision. It is a wish, an urge, a pipe dream. Let that sink in for a second. The world does not run on wishes, urges, and pipe dreams. You might have the most beautifully lucid and incredibly noble idea to change the world, but if that vision requires intense, painful sacrifice and you are only willing to put in a tiny fraction of that effort, the math simply does not work. Reality dictates that the world only runs on genuine visions backed by immense sacrifice.
So what exactly do you do if you find yourself staring down this deficit? If the cost is way too high and your greatness is just too low, you honestly only have two realistic choices here. Choice number one, you have to shrink the vision. Lower the loftiness so that it perfectly matches your current capacity for effort. You have to be totally honest with yourself and just scale it back. Or, choice number two, drastically elevate your greatness. Keep that massive, world-changing vision, but you've got to step up your game. Start waking up at 3:30 a.m. Start making the hard sacrifices required to meet that demand. You literally have to match the cost, or it simply will not happen.
Which brings us to our final section, number 6, the reality check. Let's conclude this whole 8-point evaluation with a serious moment of reflection.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really provocative audit to consider for your own life's purpose. Take a hard look at the future you want to build. Look at the immense nobility and the massive scale of it. Now I want you to look in the mirror. Does your greatness actually match the loftiness of your vision? Are you, deep down, actually willing to pay the price? Take some serious time to truly answer that for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me for part 3, and I highly encourage you to reflect on your own greatness before we move on to the next steps in our series.